Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation. What is sensorality? Sensorality is seniality. That again being the closest current form we have to speciality. Not an exact, quite direct iteration because the SP versus the SE. But we're trying to show this direct iteration of letters to stabilize what is sensorality. Sensorality is seniality, just direct expansion. Sensorality averages, right? Speciality is special. Special is not average. Average is not special. Meaning averages. Average verge. Sensorality advocates. Vocation advocates. Advocation raises awareness, right? I'm an advocate for breast cancer. I'm an advocate for women's rights. I'm not. But you know what I'm saying. Like to throw in some jokes. Resonance raises. Sensorality is raisality. Praising applauds. Applause is rhythmic, right? Applause is just straight up another word, linguistically very different, but clapping, obviously, but clapping, you're going to form a rhythm. Pausing vibrates, right? Vibration does not move, rhythm regulates movement. Steadiality does not differentiate, right? If something is steady, it is not changing. So generalize it, steadiality does not differentiate. Speciality filters, differentiation filters. Sensorality filters reality. Real estate is realty. Sensorality is estatality. Sensorality eats. Eat, ate. So again, when I'm talking about there should be a very clear difference in words with the past tense in the future. Right? Future and past are the only thing that are well defined. The present is not well defined. But eat and ate, right? If I'm going to eat, right? Literally that's in the future. If I ate, that's in the past. Clearly very easy to see a direct iteration. And here is where I'm saying this, or when I said sourcinality. The direction of, or the sequencing or the seriesing, again, see like, what is a sequence series? It's still there. But the orders of, not only is it an iteration, but the order of vowels, right? Eat, the fifth letter of the English alphabet, and then the first letter. And then ate, the past tense, A to E. And the consonants are breaking. The T breaks the vibration of the sound A and the sound E. Ate. And so can we have some sort of assertion of sequence E to A or A to E for future tense or future? Again, we haven't really derived tense in terms of conjugation. It doesn't really make any sense. But you see what I'm saying. Ate, past tense, A to E, and then eat, E to A. And so what can we say about, can we generalize that? Eating is the opposite of cooking. Let him cook, right? That's a phrase everyone's saying right now. But right after you cook something, right, you eat it. What is the opposite of consequence? Or what is opposite to consequence? What I mean is, as I just said eating is the opposite of cooking. Or is it the consequence of cooking? I cook, then I eat. Oh, he ate. You see what I'm saying? But again, just showing you how this logic develops for me on a personal level. This is how logic develops for anybody. And so, eating is the opposite of cooking. Is that true? It doesn't really matter overall. We're getting the syllability just in the right order. Because it's not going to be a question. Like the question will be self-contained just to show you the syllability of sensorality, and then it'll just be a statement, and we're just learning a vocab word. But what is opposite to consequence? Right? Something is the opposite. It negates it. You can't say anything besides opposite. And then consequence. What's the relationship? Cause is the opposite of consequence. Right? Cause and effect. Cause is the opposite of consequence. A consequence is an effect. And so I literally have this written. I have it written in my notebook too, because I was just scrolling Reddit and it just popped up again. Something that's been said for years and years. I remember it when I was in 6th, 7th, 8th grade, whatever. And the difference between effect and affect. And now we can assess it with our new math subject, right? Clearly it's different by one letter. And so again, this comes up, right, when I'm showing you this E to A or A to E. Effect is a noun and affect is a verb. And so, right, because remember, verbs are our base and nouns are our range. And so E comes after A in the alphabet. And so we have a direct reason as to why. But again, this comes up naturally in derivation. And then I get on Reddit and people are just like confidently saying it's this or confidently saying it's that. The correct thing is effect is a noun, right? Cause and effect. And we just derive the opposite of a consequence is a cause. And right, and see how that's like a double negative, right? Consequence. What's the opposite of a consequence? Con being a negating prefix and opposition prefix, and we made it like a double negative. Like that was the order I derived it. And so, and then people just get on Reddit and say like, you know, effect can be a verb and a noun, and then affect can be a verb and a noun. It's like, no, definitions are definite. By definition, definite, definitely. And so it's just people are confidently still, man. And again, obviously just some random idiots on Reddit. But it's just like people just so confidently say things wrong. Just objectively wrong. Definitions are definite. Effect is a noun. Affect is a verb. And the real reason is, again, it's some sort of iteration of E coming after A. And we've shown you all of this nuance with the sound E. And so, yeah. Sensorality affects. Sensorality is affectionate. And really, like, see that the EC, right? Affect, effect, respect. And so it's based on speciality. So the reason there's that confusion is because nobody's derived speciality before. But I have. And now we're on to sensorality. And so it just keeps building. What is affection? Right? If somebody's affectionate to somebody else. They care about them. I guess that would be the direct word I would say. Caring is affectionate. But affection, infection. Sensorality is infectious. Momentum is infectious. An amalgamation is a concoction. Cooking concocts. Oh, let me concoct that up, bro. Let me cook that up. Now I'm going to concoct that up. Nice. Sensorality is concoctality. Concoction is integration. Integrate, ingredient. Sensorality is ingredientality. Ingredient, gradient. Sensorality is gradientality. Gradient, sentient. And so now here's another big nuance. It's on these construction of words, like specifically sentient. You see that S-E-N. Not really, the things that I can say definitively, again, they're the same, but the sentient and the gradient, if you just take the D-I-E-N-T from gradient and the T-I-E-N-T from sentient, right? D and T are, again, are those sounds that end, like typically end words. Past, it's hard to think of the examples off the top of my head. And I do this, like I said, all of these, I have my derivation in front of me, but they're just theorems I've already derived. And then I just talk to you. I mean, none of this stuff is like, everything, by the time I've written it down, it's so in the past. But the beginning of the gradient and sentient is like, the beginning is still like ending prefixes. Because it's some sort of, again, amalgamation or integration's different. That intuition's still poignant for me. But again, we're just building all of this logic to prove and derive a word family. It will connect to another word that's undeniable and it's well known. Like I said, we're just going, and that's going to come from, we certainly have already covered the word, whatever it is, but there's some form of the word where you expand it out with an ality, or you cut down a syllable, and it pairs up to sensorality. But completeness is containment. Sensorality is pertinent. Pertinentality is relevance. Permanence is steadfast. Steady, steadfast. The opposite of memorizing is forgetting. What is forget? Right, forgetfulness, but literally the word linguistically. Right, forget, forgot. Right, if I am going to, like, I forget is future. Again, the only thing that are well defined clearly is future and past. How does that manifest in language? But again, we have another direct example of an iteration of vowels, right? I forgot is definitely past tense. Forget, like you're kind of talking about the present, but it's future, or like, again, the present is not well defined. But point being is forgot is definitely past tense, and it's forget and forgot is one iteration, but both of them are amalgamated words, right? Forget and got. And so forgetting is the opposite of memorizing, but literally why do we have two for preposition and then get? Like I have, I got it, I get to go. Why do we have some form of having? Like what is going on? Like what is that? What is forget? And then rebuilding restarts is the last theorem I have written down. So we continue on with our derivation. Again, there's no end to this. There will just be a stabilizing theorem for sensorality, and it will literally just be like a step like anything else. And there's no, I've already demonstrated this whole process, so it continues to be a profound and extensive violation. Like there's no, I have nothing to do, so there's no point for me to, but if I could, there's no reason not to use computer assistance. Like I could go onto ChatGPT and say, iterate all of the word forms or structure of this. It would be pretty simple for me to do. But then I'm done. So once I find the stabilizing theorem, this whole process of 7 years of derivation starts over completely. And there's no difficulty to any of the things. So on a personal level, I just have nothing else to do, and I might as well just keep making these videos. But in a practical sense, I would absolutely, like if there was a need for me to try to finish this proof in any sort of expediency, like I said, I've already shown, there was tremendous value of showing this whole process for the very first time, but now you've seen that whole process, there's no big ideas, there's no big things that I haven't already iterated multiple times. And so, bring me to it, even though I absolutely profoundly hate what is called the mathematical community, obviously, but if you could have computer assistance to your proofing, I would absolutely personally do it if I just wasn't bored out of my mind. And so there's no point, like people, from, I don't know, the 50s, 60s, 70s, whatever, when they had to like look up different chemical properties. If you're doing organic or inorganic chemistry, there was big books you had to look up for like the boiling points, melting points, all of this different data. And it's like people at that time frame probably think like memorizing that or, that was useful when you can just look it up, right? If you can look up anything, just look it up. The only reason I'm not doing that is because on a personal intuitive basis, it's not as rewarding, I guess, but it doesn't really matter. I'm doing it out of boredom, meaning not using computer assistance. But I didn't use any computer assistance. This is my 4th time iterating all of this logic. So I'm just making intellectual property. Regardless, if you can use computer assistance to accomplish anything practical, do it. So thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.